Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And before we get into today's video, I just want to do the usual. So my name's Amber and I upload beauty and true crime content. If they're the type of videos that you like to watch, then why not hit that subscribe button and come along and join our little family. And if you're already part of our family, then make sure that notification bell switch on just so you're notified of whenever I upload a video. Why not give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. And now we can get into today's video, and I am back with another Missing Monday. I know it's been a little while guys, but this case is super interesting. I'm actually going to be doing a couple's missing person case. One thing that I will say about this case, it's more of a what happened to them than a where is, because it's highly unlikely that they will be alive now, because this occurred in the 1970s and the couple that went missing were in their 60s, so it's highly unlikely that they will be alive now. We still do not know what happened to them. The case that I'm going to be covering today is the case of Edward and Stephania Andrews, and they were a couple that disappeared on May 15th in 1970, and they have never been seen since their disappearance. So at the time that they disappeared, the couple were both aged 62. So the couple actually were living in Illinois, and the place in Illinois that they were living in was Arlington Heights. So it is an American case. So at the time that they disappeared, Edward was working as a manager and bookkeeper for a Chicago manufacturer, while Stephania worked as a credit investigator, and they'd both been planning to retire within the year. Now, one thing that I just want to quickly mention is the couple, the wife of the couple is most widely known as Stephania, but some articles do call her Sophia, and I don't know whether she was maybe called Sophia for short. I'm not 100% sure, but most articles state that she was called Stephania, so I'm going to be calling her Stephania. So on May 15th in 1970, Edward and his wife Stephania attended a cocktail party, and this was at the Sheraton Chicago Hotel, which was located at 505 North Michigan Avenue. They arrived shortly after 5:30, and the party was actually sponsored by the Women's Auxiliary of the Beverage Institute, which Stephania was actually a member of. Now, there are conflicting reports from the night that the couple disappeared. Now, there are people at the party who suggested that the couple were in really good spirits, but then there are other people at the party that suggested that Edward appeared to feel very ill, and he'd made that clear that he felt very ill, and he was also apparently very hungry. Other people say that he'd started to complain that he didn't feel very well and that he was hungry. So it was then reported that the couple decided to leave the party. People did say that Stephania looked like she was upset and she'd been crying. So around 9:30, this was the time that the couple had decided they were going to leave. They actually were spotted by the valet and manager in the hotel's parking garage, and Edward was seen staggering towards his car. The car that they got into was a 1969 Oldsmobile sports coupe. It was yellow and black, and it had an Illinois license plate number, which was BB9986. So when they went to exit the parking garage, the vehicle actually sideswiped a door, at which point the valet could see that Stephania had been crying, and she was sat crying in the passenger seat of the car. So following this, Edward then drove from the garage onto the lower deck of Michigan Avenue, where he then drove south, which he did this illegally because he drove south in the northbound lane toward the Michigan Avenue Bridge and Wacker Drive. Since this sighting, neither Edward nor Stephania were ever seen again. The couple then were meant to show up at a dinner party the following day, and they didn't, and they also didn't show up to work. So this was when things started to get a little bit suspicious, and people started to suspect that there was something amiss, because it wasn't like them. They weren't like the type of couple that would miss work. So Monday rolled around, and then co-workers became concerned because, like I say, neither of them turned up to work. The police decided that they were going to go and visit their Arlington home, and they found newspapers piled on the front lawn, along with a lot of letters that had been accumulated in the mailbox. A neighbour actually had a key, so he admitted them to the residence and let them in the house. Everything inside was orderly and nothing appeared to be missing. Police theorised that the couple had actually drowned when Edward attempted a U-turn on the lower level of the Michigan Avenue Bridge and actually drove into the Chicago River through an area which was unprotected by a guardrail. Police found a place on the bridge on Lower Wacker Drive where there were scrapes and skid marks on the road, but numerous searches of the river turned up no evidence. Police searched the river twice during the spring and summer of 1970 using dragging equipment, sonar and divers, but failed to locate the vehicle. So in 1971 there were additional searches of the Chicago River and adjacent areas of Lake Michigan, which were carried out by a sonar technician that stated he was 95% sure that the car was not in the river. So in 1973, an Arlington Heights detective speculated that a barge might have crushed Andrews' car into the river bottom or pushed it out into the lake. In 1974, a tip led police to carry out underwater searches in the harbour near Navy Pier, but no further evidence was found. So in 1975, a psychic actually come involved in the case, and she said that the couple had been murdered, or they said, I'm not sure if it was he or a she, but they stated that the couple had been murdered on Chicago's south side. In 1976, another psychic claimed that the Andrews were murdered and their bodies and their car were submerged in a lake. In 1980, a general cleanup of the Chicago River produced 12 automobiles, but none of them were Edward Carr. So it's quite interesting, really. There's all this evidence to suggest that they were maybe in, whether it was foul play or accidental, that they'd ended up in the lake or the river or wherever it might be, but they never ever found any evidence of that. So according to Edward's co-workers, they actually did later come out and say that on the day that he was attending the party, the day that they went missing, he did appear ill at work. He did disappear around lunchtime because he was feeling a little bit sick, and he was off for the rest of the afternoon. Attendees at the cocktail party, there were several people who suggested that he didn't feel very well and he appeared ill. Several people also reported that he did tell his wife that he was hungry and that he wished to leave because he wanted to go and order a meal. Police speculated that Edward may have been intoxicated. Now, this was also due to the witness statement that suggested he staggered towards his car, or they thought he might possibly be suffering from a disorientating illness when he drove out of the hotel's garage. Police discounted robbery as a theory since the couple carried little cash or valuables at the time they vanished, and their bank accounts and credit cards show no activity in the months that followed. Also, the fact that their house was undisturbed, you know, it didn't show any signs of foul play. The Andrews left behind all of their personal belongings in the home. Friends and neighbours described as conscientious, can't say that word, and unlikely to leave town without notifying their employers or family. There had been no activity on Edward and Sophia's stocks and bonds, bank accounts and their 14 credit cards since their disappearances. This is why there's a lot of question marks around their disappearance, because there's a lot of people who think they wouldn't just up and leave. There's a lot of people that suggest that, you know, they weren't drinkers, so he wasn't drunk, you know, there's a lot of question marks. The couple were declared legally dead in 1978, and that's why I said it's more of a what happened to than a where is. So in 1999, the case received an update when a tipster informed the police that the couple had been murdered. The man told the police that the Andrews, both 62, were killed and stuffed into the trunk of their 1969 Oldsmobile. The car was then submerged in a pond which was located south of Atkinson's Road and east of the tri-state tollway near Green Oaks, according to this guy. The man who told this tip was actually aged 13 in 1970 when the Andrews disappeared. He lived in Lake Forest, and he said a group of Lake Forest youths were responsible for the couple's disappearance. He said that there was a pond when the car was dumped there. Police said that the man was a relative of the Andrews, and he told the police that he'd had amnesia for 23 years, so he wasn't a very reliable tipster. So divers did decide that they were going to go and investigate the area that was suggested to contain the bodies. Began the grueling process of combing a 100-foot stretch of weedy, turbid water in the southwest corner of the pond where the car was allegedly submerged. But the search was called off in the late afternoon and suspended indefinitely. The divers did locate a large object several feet deep in muck, but they couldn't determine what it was, and in the end a search of the pond turned up no signs of vehicles or bodies. Very, very, very interesting case. Now let me give you my thoughts and feelings on this one. What can I say? It is possible that they were murdered and that guy did see them being murdered, and maybe he just didn't give them the correct location. You know, he was only 13 at the time. It was quite a few years previous to him coming forward. Maybe he just got confused with the location. But it would be interesting to know why they would murder the Andrews, or maybe it was just genuinely an accident, and if the car did get swept out, then that's why they've never been able to find the car. I do think that it was something in relation to the car happened to them on the night, unfortunately, because I just don't think they would be the type of people that would just up and leave to set themselves up a new life. You know, they were planning on retiring. It seems highly unlikely that they would just leave everything and go. There was no reason in their life to show that they needed to do that, so I can't say that's the case. Unfortunately, I do think that this case they have met with whether it's foul play or accidental. I'm not 100% sure, but I would love to know your thoughts and feelings on this case. Let me know that down below, and I shall see you in the next one. Mwah, thanks so much for watching.